This quote may cause us to wince, but its underlying message is inescapable, especially today. Formal education is simply not keeping pace with the kind of support that our kids in society need going forward. Highly respected educators Michael Fullen and Mark Edwards elaborated on that point in their recently published book, Spirit Work and the Science of Collaboration. Quote, no matter how you cut it, existing schooling does not serve or interest the majority of students, nor, of course, their teachers. Aligning the daily work and experience in schools with what students need to be ready for the future requires significant change. Students need to understand what is relevant to their futures and their current needs as human beings, and those ideas are innately connected to the vital need of changing how we teach and how we learn, end quote. Dr. Fullen and Dr. Edwards came to that conclusion in part after examining four major global trends that are staring us and our students in the face. In their words, 1, climate collapse, disintegrating. 2, inequality, galloping. 3, social trust, plummeting. 4, mental health, staggering. The question we need to ask ourselves then is, are we adequately preparing our students to live, work, and prosper in a world defined by those trends? Okay, there's no need to get depressed here. I am merely setting the context for what follows, which is not going to be a chapter on what's wrong with our current system of K-12 education and why it needs to change. Quite the contrary. As author-educator Grant Lichtman, a recent guest on our podcast, observed, we have to stop talking about why education needs to change. That train left the station a decade ago. And we have to stop focusing on what those changes look like. There is broad agreement on that. The challenge for us is how we will make those changes quickly and sustainably in a world that changes more rapidly than at any time in human history, end quote. The good news is that many inspired educators are leading changes in their district schools and classrooms. Dr. Fullen and Edwards devote most of their book detailing 8 case studies of educators who are leading change. We've had the privilege to share a number of change stories on our podcast, Getting Unstuck, Educators Leading Change. So what follows is a look at how one of the districts we interviewed, Merced Union High School District in Merced, California, is making the shift to better prepare students to meet the challenges of our rapidly changing world, and especially the challenges of the new world of work. What it took to make that type of dramatic shift is something we elaborate on in our book, Shifting: How School Leaders Can Create a Culture of Change. Change agents working at any level must develop and follow a North Star, a quote unquote why, something that guides their initiatives, something that says, here's what we're working toward on behalf of our kids. Before we go there, I want to pose a related question for you to keep in mind as we progress here. If you were going to design a new school, what would you include as 3 characteristics of teaching and learning that would set your kids up to live, work, and prosper in a world defined by those trends? Feel free to stop the video now and jot down your thoughts. A number of potential characteristics will come into focus as we look at the Merced Union High School District, which is comprised of 9 high schools and approximately 11,000 students. As you can see in the map, Merced Union High School District is in California's Central Valley. We're speaking in this abridged interview with Dr. Constantino Costa Aguilar, Merced's Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. As you listen to this abridged interview, consider how Merced's major changes, which I'll highlight as we progress through the podcast, potentially set kids up for success and coincide with your vision.